It's Monday night, and you know what that means. Jersey First brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk here on Facebook Live as well as on YouTube. And as you know, I am New Jersey's premier award winning journalist, top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit Online magazine for 2020, 2021, and now in 2022. And of course, your favorite conservative, Fernando Uribe. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, you're having a great start to Holy Week. Yes, folks, Holy Week as we celebrate Easter on, Sunday. Of course, Good Friday coming up. I know it's a little taboo maybe for some people in the media landscape to talk about holidays or Christianity, but that's not the case here on this program, folks. So proud Christian here and looking forward to celebrating Easter this weekend, as well as, just looking forward to better weather, obviously. Well, again, thank you for tuning in here, as you all are, from wherever and however you may be doing so via StreamYard on Facebook Live and also on YouTube. Make sure you check out Jersey First on their website, www.jerseyfirst.org. That's Jersey, the number one ST.org. Also, don't forget to like Jersey First on Facebook and also follow it on Instagram and Twitter. Special programming, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of a new segment I'll be doing at tonight's closing. Something that's really been sort of on my mind and bothering me in sort of like the recent political headlines and our news feeds. A lot of debate about curriculums in New Jersey. So you know exactly what I'm referring to. I'm going to have a lot to say about it at the end of the show, as well as kind of an indictment of the liberal media establishment here in New Jersey that isn't talking about it. But you know what? That's not the case here with me. I'm proud to do so. I'm going to hold a lot of people accountable this evening. So you definitely want to tune in. And don't go anywhere as I'll close out the show later on tonight. But again, folks, in the meantime, I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Proud Yankee fan here. So let me just have a little tea for my New York Yankees starting 2-1. Yes, folks, just a reminder that the Yankees run New York, not that other team from Queens that, kind of wets itself when they win an opening day and they think, I don't know, they win an opening day championship. But as a reminder, folks, it's nice to beat the Red Sox. And it's nice to remind everybody that the Yankees still run New York. And of course, in terms of running things here, folks, I run it all the time every Monday night live at 6 p.m. with the exclusives that you don't really see in New Jersey media at all. And sort of the more interesting guests that you don't get to hear from, but that's always the case here. And this week is no exception. It's my pleasure to welcome to the show fellow Rutgers alum and Somerset County Commissioner, the great Sara Sooy, joining us here tonight on Real Talk. Commissioner, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate that. And I know you've had a busy day. Can I call you Sara? Is that cool?
Absolutely.
All right, Sara. Good stuff. And I know you got a busy day, but let's get right to it here. Sara, one of the things that really has changed in terms of county government has been the removal of that dreaded, F word, freeholder. Oh, my God.
Don't say that anymore, not the F word.
Oh my God, I might get canceled by liberals and the woke crowd in New Jersey, but who cares about them? But I know that commissioner is now the term of usage, and certainly you are one of the more visible commissioners in Somerset County. Take our audience a little bit through the process of ultimately what is it that a commissioner does on a daily or weekly basis when it comes to commissioners' meetings and ultimately your responsibilities.
So I was actually one of the advocates too for that name change from freeholder that we don't say anymore to county commissioner, because when I was on the campaign trail back in 2018, I was going door to door, meeting people. And every time I said, I'm running for freeholder, they didn't know what that was or what level of government. So county commissioner, it better describes what we do every day. So we serve county government. Now, Somerset County is comprised of 21 towns. The northern point being Bernardsville, the most southern point being Montgomery, all the way down close to Princeton. So it is a pretty large territory. We have about 350,000 people. And the best way I could probably describe it to the everyday person. So think of your town council and your mayor. You have roads, parks, and bridges, but we do a little bit more than that. So we work on shared services. And a lot of our job is just helping out people in our community. So think about veteran services, youth services. We have a community college, vocational school. We have one of the 2 mental health hospitals in the state of New Jersey, Richard Hall. So our umbrella is just a little bit bigger. So we do the same thing as local government, just on the county level, and we help them. We're able to provide different tools for technical resources. We have a head for policy planning and economics, engineering department, just about everything you can think of, we have in-house. So for a small town, I grew up over in Bernardsville, New Jersey, town of 8,000 people. And in order for them to use their money as appropriately as possible, they can't have someone that's a head of economic development in a really small town like that. And they would rather use that to, maybe fix a park or fix a road and appropriate in that sense, but they still need that technical assistance. So we're able to provide that in-house, provide services at a cheaper rate, because as anyone really can see, the more you buy with things, the cheaper the price is. It's more competitive.
Oh, fair enough. Great point there. And again, for our audience at home, certainly you were also on the Somerset Hills School District Board of Education recently from 2015 to 2018. We'll get back to that in a moment because I have a lot to say about boards of education later on the show. And for everyone tuning in here, folks, trust me, you're going to want to definitely check out this monologue tonight about boards of education and certainly curriculum that we all know has been in the headlines. But what was that experience like, Sara, transitioning from being, again, a trustee ultimately on on that local board of education to sort of moving up, as they say, to now being a county commissioner? Is it more stressful? Obviously, maybe more hours. Let's separate fact from fiction about how difficult these positions can be.
So I would say being on the board of education is one of the hardest levels of government you can serve. The higher up you go, the more removed you are usually from your neighbors. So when you're on the board of education, I always said, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, because you got your toughest critics. You have your students, your parents, your teachers, your administrators. You've got multiple unions involved, and just members of the community. When you think of the most sensitive thing in any person's life, it's their child. You want to make sure it's a safe place where they have the best ways to advance themselves. Education is the route for advancement. So, that builds the foundation for, your children to be able to thrive in this world. So it's something that we really want to value and cultivate our community from that grassroots area.
Sara, when we talk about being a commissioner, again, at the county level, we know you have to go through an election. Now, you just won recently, I believe. Just looking at your bio here, I believe you just won it. Was it in 2019 or in 2020?
No, this past November.
Last November. Okay, I stand corrected. My apologies. I tried to do my homework. I tried to do my homework as much as I can, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
When we talk about, again, you're running for elected office, it sort of begs the question in a state like New Jersey that, yes, it's predominantly blue. There are pockets of the state that are red. For example, where I live in Hudson County, it's as blue as Windex, okay, tragically. But there are parts of the state further south on 95 and on the Parkway specifically that are very red. There's areas like Morris County that are getting a little purplish. How would you describe Somerset County? I mean, there's a lot of municipalities, as you mentioned. How would you describe the political affiliations that are most prevalent in Somerset County?
So, Fernando, the way that I see it is that there's good people and bad people on both sides of the aisle.
Yes, yeah.
It's like anything you do in life. Some people are just bad actors. Their intention isn't there to actually help the community. So I see that across the board. The way that I see Somerset County is that I'm with colleagues that really do have that vested interest. We work extraordinarily hard. I grew up in the region, and I got started off when I was 22 years old. So most people said, why on earth are you running for office? You could be doing plenty of other things. And I was just starting off with my career, and most people just focus on that one thing. But I really did care about giving back. It's a household I grew up with. My father was an elected official. He was a 2-term councilman in Bernardsville and the mayor, and he was a Republican, actually. So I've seen it on both sides. And at the end of the day, it's about how you serve. I've had mentors that have really taught me that reaching across the aisle and focusing on what you do is the best way to make advancements. And most people are somewhere in the middle. So if you really think about what people care about, it's about the quality of life and the affordability of it. It's how we define those things. So whether it's on the housing side, how much people are making on the income end, job opportunities. People want to work. It's just at what price too. So, and everyone, it costs money to operate a business. Right now, I'm sure you've seen it in the news, we have something called the Great Resignation. How do we get people back in the office out of one of the largest disruptors our economy has ever seen? We have different externalities that are coming into play. I also serve on the NJTPA, and they presented studies from Rutgers University saying that this catalyzed our markets by at least 3 years. So when you take that into account, you add in people just having to be at home, taking care of their families, and then figuring out how we're going to balance the two, and businesses trying to make up from 2 years of really not being in full production, and some businesses and industries just being closed, period. And they're not going to come back. So it's a lot that we factor in.
Now, Sara, again, it's unlike a lot of municipal elections, they tend to be nonpartisan. When it comes to a county commissioner election, that tends to be more partisan, I would argue. I mean, I'm assuming you're running under a ticket under a party name. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so for the purposes of our audience, maybe you're not familiar with your recent reelection in November, you ran as a
Democrat.
Okay. And now, is that what we're seeing is becoming probably the more prevalent voter registration in that county?
So Somerset County is pretty unique. I still consider it a purple territory.
Okay.
Although we do have 5 out of 5 county commissioner seats, we have our constitutional officers. We have the clerk, the surrogate, and the sheriff that all ran under the Democratic ticket. I would say that a Somerset County Democrat holds fiscal responsibility, preservation and appreciation of our open space, and historical element. As you probably know, we're celebrating our quincentennial celebration for agritourism, which is one of our lifelines for tourism for economic growth in our region and throughout the state. So these are things that we do value. They do emulate a lot of things that overlap on the more conservative side, but it's true to our territory, and we do work, live, and play in our region. So I think that's something that's very clear, and you have to have that heart of service. So, if you just want to define it left versus right, our elections are swung with the independents. And for us to be able to bring out that vote, when you have some of our biggest people on the Democratic ticket lose this year, I ran with Chanel Robinson, and we won. It wasn't by as big of a margin as 2018, but we did so because we're able to reach across the aisle and serve the majority of people and do our jobs right.
All right. Well, you know what? You kind of opened the door for me with that one then. So let me we'll get back to your responsibilities in Somerset County in a moment. But Sara, I got to pick your brain here. I mean, obviously, you mentioned that this past November was very interesting here in New Jersey. The governor, I was the only journalist on the record that called the gubernatorial race very close. Everyone thought I was crazy. And I made a lot of bets. So I have a lot of free dinners coming my way from people that thought I was out of my mind. I said, no, the governor's going to win re-election by 2 or 3 points. He has those advantages. Obviously, there's 1.5 million more Democrats there in New Jersey than Republicans. Obviously, the county machines, I don't mean the apparatuses, but like the actual parties and the sort of the mobilization does a better job than Republicans statewide. And at the end of the day, again, there's the liberal media is always siding with Democrats. So I said, because of these variables, I think the governor is going to win re-election, but it's not going to be as widespread as these polls told us, right? Oh, it's going to be a romp. It's going to be no. I said, no, there's a lot of pockets of New Jersey that are very unhappy with the sitting governor, with Democrats in Trenton. And you saw that the governor had to sweat it out for re-election. We had the former Senate president get ousted by a truck driver. Nice guy, Edward Durr. I was one of the few journalists that got to interview him upon winning. But, I was happy to see, 7 new Republican women entering the legislature. I was happy about that. Now, again, it was what people would think is a wake-up call, I hope, for this year. And again, you're a county commissioner. At some point, I don't want to speak for you, but maybe you put in that bad position this year. Again, you're on a county ticket. You might have to go door to door or go to a campaign rally and, campaign for Democrats in this volatile midterm election year. And we all know, again, being an educator, history professor, I know my history, short of 2 cycles with George W. Bush in 2002, where Republicans held the House and actually, gained some seats. Same happened with FDR in 1934. But historically, the opposing party wins the House. That seems to be the case this year. It seems like Democrats can get out of their own way. The president is immensely unpopular. Inflation, gas prices, reckless spending. It just seems like, are you concerned that in your position, you might have to go campaigning for Democrats in your area? I'm not sure which congressperson represents the districts that, for the most part, are comprised a lot in Somerset County. But are you concerned that, you have to go to these events and campaign for this person? Does that put you in a tough spot?
So I would like to say, like, for my district, we are fortunate to have very strong representatives. So people that care about the lifeline of our community. We're in dire need of infrastructure support on the federal level. We have Congressman Malinowski that has been a huge advocate of that. We've got the largest infrastructure bill that we've ever seen hit the nation. Despite about how you feel about the bill, one way or another, it is their job to make sure we bring those dollars back to our regions. So I'm going to fight for my constituents and make sure that those dollars come back to help Somerset County. It's going to assist the Raritan Valley Rail Coalition, which helps with our lifeline to make sure that people have jobs. If you don't have jobs, especially people are pushing at the last bit that they probably can afford not to work. So we are seeing more people start to enter that job market again. And it's just part of the climate. If there is a shift, let's say you mentioned gas prices, people are not going to be happy about that. And you look to your representatives, your cost of living, food through the roof, supply chain issues, that is only going up. So how are we making sure that our area is a affordable place to work, live, and play? And that's where we have to reinvest. And the way that I see some of the American Recovery Plan Act funding tying into this, whether it's, federal dollars through that prong, infrastructure, we have to make sure it sparks economic growth. And my biggest pet peeve, because my background is economics and I was in banking for the first part of my career, is that we do not use this as a Band-Aid for our budget, but an area to spark economic growth.
It seems like Congressman Malinowski is in for the fight of his life, according to some polling, Sara. It seems like that's probably one of the more competitive races coming up later this year. I mean, up here where I live in Hudson County, we have Alvio Cires, who is retiring at the end of the year. So certainly Robert Menendez, who I just interviewed a couple of weeks ago. Again, one of those exclusives you don't see anywhere else, folks, online. I got to speak with him for almost an hour about how different that county is in that congressional district, where, being a moderate Democrat that I know him to be, that's a winnable campaign strategy. Again, here in Hudson County, it seems like that's going to be a winnable campaign strategy if you're a moderate. But Sara, I say this all the time, and I say this to Robert, and I say this to others that come on the show. I mean, if you want to be woke, if you want to be having a meltdown about pronouns and, the 35 genders that, Jesus Christ, I'm inundated with now, and other sort of far left things, like, it seems like that's not a good direction during the midterms. And someone like Malinowski, who isn't crazy woke, all right? He's not like, across the river with the Puerto Rican princess, right? AOC, he's not crazy, thankfully for the constituents in the district. But Malinowski might still face a tough battle because, again, there's this anger about a plethora of things that you just alluded to, against supply chain issues, the cost of gasoline, again, which is, that problem is fixable, right? I'm not an economist. I pretend to be one sometimes every week on this show, but I'm not an economist. But it doesn't take a degree in economics to know some of these things. When it comes to someone like Malinowski or someone that's maybe not as crazy left as others, is that an easier road for him to win re-election this year, or is really every Democrat in for the fight of their life in Central and South Jersey, do you think?
So I would say anyone that's in office right now, period, that's running for re-election, and you are going to see a bigger strain on the Democratic Party. Let's call it what it is. As you referenced history, and we know it very well, we typically have an inverse relationship going back to the last gubernatorial race with the presidential seat. So based on New Jersey's history, we should have had a Republican governor. But that did not happen.
Yeah.
Much closer race. I thought it was going to be a close race.
I mean, to be honest, Republicans should be ashamed of themselves. Only 39% of Republicans came out to vote. If even 10% more came out, we'd be talking about Governor Chittarelli. But that's a discussion for another day. I'm sorry. Continue.
So to the point of trends within, anyone doing their polling, saying who's going to win, who's going to lose, you don't know until you're there. Because what I realized is that this was probably my hardest term and my hardest race because of things I couldn't control. I couldn't control, the biggest natural disaster that Somerset County has ever faced in history. But the members of the community look to us to fix everything. And that's something that we cannot cure overnight. On top of a global, pandemic, a health crisis that we faced, we can only get those resources, and it's limited for what we can do immediately. But it's about making sure that you communicate that plan. I do think that we have strong Democratic representatives that are moderate. Mm-hmm. They are fiscally responsible. And personally, I have not been asked to advocate for anyone that I do not believe in. Somerset County is very much so a purple zone, mm-hmm. and our representatives are very much so in tune with that. Do I think that they may pay the price? That's a possibility. Yeah. Let's be honest with the global climate, and it's out of their hands. It's not Congressman Malinowski's fault that we have a global supply chain issue right now, and food is going to be out of this world to afford. Trying to get, who was trying to buy a steak recently in the grocery store? I love steak.
So do I.
Prices are way up.
Yes.
So just the cost to feed a family. And for Democrats really speaking about making sure that you could put food on the table and a roof over your head, these are things that are out of our hands, but we're doing our best to combat it through different levers we can pull. So I don't think that we have the radicals, which I'm appreciative of. We are going to make sure. Sorry, did I lose you there for a second?
You're still with us here. I think you're a little frozen.
Are we back?
Yep, you're back. All right, good stuff.
Fernando, you there?
I'm here. Do you hear me?
Hold on a second here. Okay. Let's see. Are we connected again?
Yeah. Do you hear me? All right, folks. We're having some difficulty there. Maybe click
we're having some technical difficulties here.
Do you hear me now or no? Do you see me? Do you see me? No.
I can see you, but I can't hear you, unfortunately.
Okay. It's weird. How about log off and then log back in?
So.
Okay. Folks, again, just bear with us here. We'll get Somerset County Commissioner Sara Sooy back on the air here. Again, let's get her back on. And how about?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear. Do you hear me?
Fernando, I need to do this. Would you like to try to reconnect?
Yeah, reconnect. Yes, reconnect.
All right. Let's try to do that.
Yep, reconnect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, folks. Again, don't go anywhere. Just a quick technical difficulty there with Somerset County Commissioner Sara Sooy. She'll be right with us again as we're coming up on 6:24 on the East Coast here, ladies and gentlemen, on Jersey First via YouTube and also on Facebook Live. Again, don't go anywhere. We'll have Sara Sooy back in a moment. She'll be logging back on here on the show. And folks, again, in the meantime, always remember, live on Monday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the latest edition, obviously, of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe, obviously brought to you by Jersey First. I think we have Sara back on here. Hold on one second.
All right, I can hear you now.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Good to have you back on, Commissioner. Folks, it's 6:25 here on the East Coast. If you just joined us live here tonight, joining me on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe is fellow Rutgers alumnus and Somerset County Commissioner Sara Sooy. Sara, well, again, great points you just made there. Let's get back to Somerset County for a moment. And every county has its issues, whether it be about infrastructure, whether it be about spending. We know every county is different. Again, here where I live in Hudson County, it's the most densely populated county, not just in New Jersey, but I would argue anywhere in the continental United States. But every county's different. Just to the north of me, Bergen's very different. A little west out there to Passaic, Morris, a little bit south of me, Essex, Union, Middlesex, whatever. Every county has its specific issues that really personify its uniqueness. How would you describe the most pressing issues right now? Again, not just in your capacity as a commissioner, but what you hear from taxpayers in Somerset County. What are the issues that they really want to see you and the Board of Commissioners tackle?
So, a few things. So, as you mentioned, we are a very densely populated state, with a lot of the industrial space being, used by Amazon now. We have a new location, 2,000 new jobs over in Franklin Township. It also puts a toll on our roads. We have trucks coming through our town at a higher rate than we've ever seen before. The Amazons of the world, and just making sure that people have that instantaneous delivery to their door, is creating a little bit of, dare I say, noise pollution and just a little more potholes and, traffic on our road. So we do have to make sure that that is coordinated. I am working alongside for the NJTPA to make sure that we address those in a timely fashion, and we track that accordingly. So we're only as good as what we know, making sure that we reinvest into data. I think that a lot of the mainstream form of government, how you receive the information, is through longer studies. We can't move at the same pace as we used to, and we have to increase that. So the world is moving at a much faster pace, and we have to adapt with it. If we don't, we are falling behind. Our community college, we are actually a minority majority school, with over 20% being Latinos, which I'm very proud of. So we have to make sure that people have jobs once they graduate. Our programs are actually tailored for the companies we're collaborating with. I am a huge advocate of private-public partnerships. As you probably know, Somerset County is home to pharma. That is something that we've always prided ourselves on. But pharma is going through a bit of a shift.
Yeah.
With many of our brick and mortar facilities being, in question. Who might leave? Who might stay? Do they want Somerset County to be, some of their headquarters? We have fought for a few the past few years, and we have been successful. That was not done overnight. We reinvested to make sure that we highlighted our highly educated workforce that we have in our own backyard. Raritan Valley Community College, we are actually growing our internship program, and one of my babies for the program is making sure that we help with internship programs with our community college, because I believe we should help the people in our own backyard before we go elsewhere. 70% of our community college students actually stay in our district. So when we talk about economic growth and making sure that people actually are good neighbors, they value the area that they live in, they have families, that also changes the quality of life. And culture is something that's very hard to shift. But I think that's a strong proponent of how we keep that. Conversations about rebranding, areas for coding, AI, things on the software side of the industry. Crypto is a big industry that a lot of people aren't talking about on the government end, on the local level. But we can actually make sure to work with crypto companies, which is a growing area. Personally, I think it's here to stay. That's something that we could reach across party lines to make sure that we promote, because these are 6-figure job opportunities that you can come from a 2-year degree. So you have all your proper training and you can work from anywhere. You can still, and with that 70% retention, we keep that. So the person who graduates, you could still stay close to your families. It keeps you in New Jersey. People always talk about, who's leaving New Jersey, where they're going. You going to Florida, Texas, wherever it may be. We want to keep home, and home is where the heart is. And I always believe that.
Listen, great points, Sara. Folks, if you're just joining us right now, it's 6:30 here on the East Coast. We appreciate you here on Facebook Live via StreamYard and also on the Jersey First YouTube. My guest this week here on Real Talk is fellow Rutgers alumnus and Somerset County Commissioner Sara Sooy. Sara, when we think about, you just really outlined a plethora of outstanding issues in your county. One that I think really doesn't get talked about enough. I mean, up here, every county is different. But when we talk about quality of life, law and order, law enforcement, making sure that we're funding everything from the sheriff's department in the county to local police department. Now, again, those are municipal issues, but to some extent, I mean, I think county government plays a role, I would argue, in that to some degree, right? I mean, we're talking about tax dollars, and maybe they're coming from not the same pool or the same, pot, as they say. But how closely really does the Board of Commissioners work with local municipalities? I know up here in Hudson County, I mean, they work hand in hand. The county executive is very heavily involved with all the mayors, all the town councils, all the Board of Commissioners per se. Is it the same in Somerset? Again, for our audience who isn't familiar with the job description of a county commissioner, is that the same sort of responsibility or dynamics that you also have to deal with?
So it depends on the situation. I think that part of the population still does not know what a county commissioner is. And as you go up, we always say the number one most known elected official is your mayor. So they come in, they speak to classes. I've been doing more of that work too, to make sure that we have that education for what our duties entail. But it's going to take time to do that. As a history buff yourself, you could probably critique some of the education and the knowledge for different levels. But I think it all comes with experience. So the more that we do, is the more people are going to realize how we can help. I take a very personal approach, very hands-on. Anything I can do to facilitate on the local side, I am easily accessible. And if there's an issue, I show up.
Well, listen, it's refreshing to hear an elected official want to be this transparent like you are. I think it's extremely admirable. And I know that, it sort of begs the question, though, Sara, because obviously you were a trustee at a board of education. Now you're a county commissioner. I mean, listen, is there a scoop you want to give to New Jersey's premier journalist? Is there a higher office in your future? Because it seems to me, again, and maybe as objective as possible here, being the journalist that I am, you check off a lot of boxes. You're Latina, you're educated. Okay, well, all right. I think I might have lost the county commissioner there. I hope she can get back on here. I want to be able to ask her that question there. Folks, it's 6:33 here on the East Coast. Okay, let's get her back on here. Commissioner, are you with us?
I'm with you. Sorry.
Okay, hold on for a second. They're like, whoa, man, out of that question quick.
See, this is the problem with apartment buildings.
Sure. Well, listen, I own a home, and the Wi-Fi here with Verizon Fios isn't much better sometimes either, so don't worry about it. But Sara, I got to ask, because again, we're seeing this slow ascension. Okay, you were a trustee at a board of education. You've won re-election as a county commissioner. Again, is there a scoop that New Jersey's premier journalist wants to break tonight? Because it just seems to me, Sara, and I've had the chance to talk to you off the air. Okay, you check off a lot of boxes. Okay, you're young, you're Latina, you're educated, you are engaged in the community. It's sort of just inevitable where someone's going to say, well, you know what? That's Sara Sooy. My God, you know what? I want her running for the state assembly in the future, or I want her running for Congress, or I want her. It begs the question, though. I mean, again, you're progressing so well politically and electorally. Any desire for higher office here? Anything you want to break or a scoop you want to give your favorite journalist?
So, one, I'm very flattered. I always try to serve to the best of my ability, but I will only run for office if I think that I can truly add value at that level. So, or if I could do a better job than someone else. So those are my requirements. I'm 29 years old. I'm a county commissioner, and I have loved every second of the 7 years of service I've been involved. I think that in some capacity, I will always be in service. At what level, we'll see if an opportunity arises. As you probably know, with this, lovely game of politics, it's all about timing and making sure that, it's going to be a successful year too. You can only work so hard to fight for that small margin, but there's a lot of bigger picture things that impact it. I still got a lot more work to do with the Board of County Commissioners right here in Somerset County, and we'll leave it at that.
Well, I'll tell you, talk about being Latina and that smooth answer. I'll tell you, unbelievable. She got me there, ladies and gentlemen. I guess we'll have to wait and see what holds in the political future for Sara Sooy, the esteemed county commissioner in Somerset County. Sara, before I let you go, again, I want to thank you for your time. I know you've had a long day, and I certainly want to thank you for taking the opportunity to come on this program, because it reminds me that, somewhere, maybe you and I don't see eye to eye politically, maybe, who knows? I don't know. We haven't gotten that far talking off the air, right? But maybe we will. Maybe we'll pick each other's brains. But the bottom line is that, you believe in this show, you trust this show, and you trust me. And that speaks volumes in terms of the brand of journalism that I continue to bring every single week to my viewers. And it wouldn't be possible without great guests like you. So I want to thank you for your time, and I'll give you the last word.
Well, thank you. And your show, like many others too, help elected officials like me communicate that message for what we do every day. So you're part of the solution. So we always appreciate that. I guess my last word would probably be, if you have a question for your representative, just reach out. I'm easily accessible, so you can go right to the Somerset County page, go down there. My email address is on there, phone number. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can. I'm visible out there in the community, and if there's any question, sometimes there's a lot of chatter in the community. I always encourage you to reach out direct.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, she is Sara Sooy, esteemed Rutgers alumnus there. By the way, real quick, you did finish your MBA at Rutgers Newark. You did your undergrad at St. Francis in Brooklyn. A great picture of the Brooklyn Bridge behind you. Real quick, fondest memory of undergrad, fondest memory of grad school.
Oh, I don't know if I could share the undergrad one.
Okay, same here. Yeah, I went to Rutgers in New Brunswick, so I probably can't say that on the air, but okay.
No, totally kidding.
Sure.
Fondest memory, I was a freshman at St. Francis College, saw a flyer, went to the first Economic Society meeting because they said that they were, trying to get more members, had free pizza. I was like, you know what?
Okay.
Hungry college kid, why not learn something in between and grab lunch? What's the worst that can happen? I was listening to everyone in the room, and I was a super quiet kid growing up. And I thought to myself, you know what? I could probably do this a little better, and I don't necessarily agree with that. So I gave up. I stood up as a freshman in the room, and I was running against a senior for president of the Economic Society. And I gave my spiel. The one economics professor, who was probably one of the toughest out of the entire school, said, she knows what she's talking about. And because I spoke up, I became president of the Economic Society and kept that spirit throughout all 4 years and to today.
Wow. That's incredible. And again, you're one of those economists that I think I can trust for sure, Sara, because there aren't many. Okay, well, I think we've just lost her again. Not sure what happened there. Let's see if we can get her back on here just right before the closing of the show. Folks, again, it's 6:39 here. Oh, let me just see if I can get her back on. Sara, okay, yeah, we're just having some bad luck here as we're closing out here. But Sara, before your Wi-Fi maybe challenges us again real quick, I want to thank you for your time. You're a testament and really an asset to the Somerset County Board of Commissioners. Keep up the good work, and tell everybody you know how much you love Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First.
Share it on my social. Thanks so much, Fernando.
Thank you. God bless you. Stay healthy. I'll talk to you.
You too. Take care.
Take care. Folks, great interview there with Sara Sooy, esteemed county commissioner in Somerset County. Well, folks, I want to try something a little different here today because, there's something on my mind. And it's a new segment I'm going to bring on this program here. I may not do it every week, but I'm going to do it when the attention is necessary and when the time calls for it. And I just think, ladies and gentlemen, right now we are living in a climate where wokeness is toxic. Okay. And look no further, ladies and gentlemen, than the curriculum that is being talked about. It was signed into law. It was shoved through, right, during 2020, during the pandemic, by these sort of woke aspects of the New Jersey State Legislature. Okay. And unfortunately, later this fall, we're now seeing some media attention on a national level about New Jersey and as it pertains to curriculum when teaching it to kindergarten kids, first graders, and even second graders. So let me just give you some notes here I took down because, folks, I want to talk about not just the toxicity of this curriculum, but the sheer irresponsibility that you can see is being displayed and the utter disservice that the media establishment here in New Jersey is committing on a daily basis to fellow New Jerseyans. Okay. And I'll get to the guilty parties in a moment because I need to call all of them out, or the ones specifically that really disgust me or are just reprehensible. But I'll get them a little bit later. But let's just get to sort of the meat and bones of why I'm upset here. But folks, there's planned sex education lessons for first graders in New Jersey that are coming up, right, later this fall. They'll include discussions of gender identity, right? Now, apparently it's circulating around the internet, folks. It's not me making this up. It's all there for you to review. Now, there's a 30-minute lesson plan called Pink, Blue, and Purple, which aims to teach 6-year-olds to define gender identity, and gender role stereotypes. It includes also instructions for teachers to tell students that their gender identity is up to them. Jesus Christ. Folks, this is madness. Okay? Now, again, these are materials that were reportedly distributed to parents a couple months ago on February 22nd at a recent meeting of the Westfield Board of Education. Now, again, it's posted online. I'm not making this up, folks. You can look it up for yourself, and it's right there in black and white. Now, here's some language from the lesson plan that should absolutely disgust you. Quote, you might feel like you're a boy, even if you have body parts that some people might tell you are, quote, girl parts. You might feel like, hey, you know what? And you might not feel like you're a boy or a girl, but you're a little bit of both. No matter how you feel, you're perfectly normal. Oh, for the love of God. Now, another lesson plan for second graders is titled, quote, Understanding Our Bodies, which includes an illustrated discussion of human genitals so kids as young as 7 can, quote, use medically accurate names for their private parts. Quote, tell students there are some body parts that are mostly just girls that they have, and some parts that mostly just boys have, okay? A note to the teacher, of course, also says, quote, being a boy or girl doesn't have to mean you have to have those parts, but for most people, this is how their bodies are. Now, again, folks, these are materials that obviously emerged amidst controversy, for example, over a law that was signed last month in the great state of Florida, the great freedom-loving state of Florida by Governor Ron DeSantis, that bans the discussion of gender identity in kindergarten through 3rd grade, which critics, are having a meltdown about, quote, don't say gay. That's not what the bill says, folks. Again, take your head out of your ass and look at the bill. That's not what it says. Now, it's part of a broader K through 12 health and sex education curriculum adopted by the New Jersey Board of Education in 2020 that goes into effect in September. Now, again, folks, are we surprised about the NJEA, right? Probably the most woke union in the country, never mind New Jersey, but in the country. And of course, the woke elements of the legislature were happy to ram this through during a pandemic when the state was shut down in 2020, right? When Governor Murphy shut down the state, we couldn't go anywhere. Parents couldn't go to Board of Education meetings or go to Trenton to contest this. It was just shoved through conveniently, right? Well, we're seeing here, obviously, that parents are having a problem. As a matter of fact, shout out to State Senator Holly Schepisi, a Republican out of Bergen County in Westwood specifically. She appeared over the weekend on the news that, quote, as a mom and a legislator, I can appreciate the needs for students to receive age-appropriate instruction, but this is beyond the pale. Folks, again, I'm going to just give you more about why this is just absolutely abhorrent. Okay? We're looking at, the folks, again, this pink, purple, and blue stuff is driving me crazy. Folks, let kids be kids. Okay? This acquiescing or bending over backwards to the alphabet army, yes, I said it, the alphabet army. Okay? Because I can't think of a better term to describe them as. Okay? It seems like there's a new consonant added every week. Okay? But it's interesting where the woke part of the legislature feels the need to acquiesce to the alphabet army. Okay? We're looking at these lesson plans. And again, folks, this is not stuff that I'm concocting. This is stuff you can all look up online. Okay? Now, again, they go out in effect in September. But again, folks, we're looking at, for example, look at some of these learning objectives here. It's madness to me. And what's even more disgusting is that the media establishments in New Jersey aren't talking about this. Okay? Folks, here's a newsflash. You want to know why parents are sometimes careful when talking to their kids, let's say, for example, about Santa Claus, a fictional character? It's because kids are impressionable. Okay? Kids are impressionable. Kids can be easily influenced by adults. And that's what we're seeing with this curriculum. Okay? I get it. There are gay kids in school. When I went to elementary school many moons ago, and when I went to high school, yeah, there were gay kids. Okay? My parents didn't have to really sit me down. Again, mind you, folks, I'm Hispanic. And we all know how some of these issues are quite taboo in the Latino community, Latino or Latina community, not Latinx. Stop with the nonsense. Okay? It really is ridiculous. Okay? Let parents parent. Okay? Again, going back to the point that kids are impressionable. There is absolutely no reason you can justify to me in a rational, logical way that someone in kindergarten, first grade, or second grade needs to be learning about gender identity. Can we all remember when we were 7 years old? I could barely tie my shoelaces. You think I want to be inundated? Or do you think parents want to inundate their children with these discussions? Let parents parent. Again, the NGEA feels that, it takes a village, right? Didn't we hear that nonsense from Hillary Clinton, right? Oh, it takes a village. No, it takes parents. Okay? It doesn't take a school to indoctrinate children, because this is what it is. It's indoctrination. It's bending over backwards to coddle and acquiesce to the alphabet army. Yes, I say it again, the alphabet army. You want to come cancel me? Come get some. Come get a taste, because that's exactly what's going to happen if you come after me. I'm ready for you. But what's even more disappointing, folks, and again, this is stuff I was reading for the last couple of weeks here, because we're seeing it on our news cycle about this curriculum and how awful it is. So kudos to State Senator Holly Schepisi, kudos to State Senator Michael Testa, and others that believe that let parents be parents. Inundating our kids with this stuff is ridiculous. Okay, for example here, another element of the pink, blue, and purple lesson plan. Name at least 2 things that have been taught about gender role stereotypes and how those things may limit people of all genders. What do you mean of all genders? There's 2 genders. My God, kudos to Louis Marchesani, Dr. Louis Marchesani, the late great Louis Marchesani, who was my high school AP biology teacher at Memorial High School in West New York. Of all genders, there's 2 genders. Have some of you at home gone mad? Did some of you fail high school biology? Clearly you did. And I'm not afraid to say this. Okay? Some of my colleagues in media don't want to say it because they're afraid of offending people, or they're afraid of offending the alphabet army. Oh my God, God forbid, we can't have that happen. I don't care about that stuff. Okay? I don't care about offending people because, folks, I'm not writing columns. Okay? I'm a journalist. And in the eyes of some in New Jersey, maybe that's not how they feel, but I am a journalist because what I excel at is opinion journalism. Okay? Not just having great monologues, but interviewing people, being good at it. No, never mind that. I'm great at it. Okay? So there has to be some journalistic integrity in New Jersey. And I know that, listen, that 4-syllable word, that's a pesky word for a lot of journalists, right? Integrity, right? Because a lot of you out there don't have it. When you're not reporting on this, when you just kindly let it, go under the radar in 2020, didn't really, attack it or scrutinize it. You let the woke part of the legislature pass this without any objections. And now, guess what? Thankfully, because of Florida, because of the great governor that they have there, Ron DeSantis, okay, this is an issue now that is igniting the culture war. Okay. This is an issue that is waking up parents. We saw it in Virginia. We saw some elements in New Jersey, and we're going to see it now during this midterm election. Some of these folks, when I'm reading this, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And you know what? This is not just this infuriates me, but what infuriates me is the fact of the media establishment in New Jersey being lazy and not talking about it. So you know what? I'm going to call out some of the guilty suspects here. So let me just go here and go in order. Let's start with David Cruz, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the host of Chatbox and Reporters Roundtable with NJTV and NJ Spotlight News. Yeah, David Cruz is a Hudson County guy, which, by the way, you know, and listen, I'll give credit where it's due. He has an interesting show. I watch Reporters Roundtable regularly because I like to see some of my friends that I know in journalism on there. He has some interesting guests on his chat box. But David, do me a favor, have a spine. I just watched Reporters Roundtable this week, and you're Hispanic, bro. When you say, oh, we're off for the holiday. What holiday? Say it, bro. You're Easter. Jesus Christ, you're Hispanic. Have a spine. Be proud of being Christian. But the fact that, you know, we're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ on Sunday, is there some other holiday we're supposed to be aware of? Don't just say the holiday. Folks, it's Easter. Okay? It's Easter. Okay? Say that. But let me not focus too much on that. Folks, as I'm looking at David Cruz's columns and videos here, yeah, there's some stuff here that is, you know, somewhat interesting. But David, you're Hispanic. You have kids. Would you like your kids at some point when they were 5, 6, and 7 learning this nonsense, learning this curriculum that's going to be shoved down the throats of our children come this fall? Is this what you stand for? You're Hispanic, bro. You have children. You probably have grandchildren. Is this what you want them learning? Bro, I'm sorry. You're Hispanic. And I seriously doubt this is not how you were raised, and this is not what you subscribe to. But I get it. You're part of the liberal media establishment. You have to acquiesce to, you know, liberals in the legislature or liberals in the media. But Dave, this is a disservice you're doing. How could you not be talking about this? And I get it. It's budget season. You're going to have legislators on talking about, oh, spending. Oh my God, the New Jersey budget is up again. Oh, it's bloated. Oh my God, water, wet. You know, your Mets, useless. You know, I mean, really, like, we know this already. We know this. And I get it that that's an important topic to talk about, but why aren't you talking about this? Why aren't you talking about the fact that this is indoctrination? Let parents parent. And I guarantee you, folks, and if I'm the only journalist in New Jersey doing this, then so be it. I'll die on a hill about this, as they say, you know, as the phrase goes. Because if I have to be the only journalist with any integrity, there you go, that pesky four-syllable word, integrity, that's going to galvanize parents, that's going to help mobilize parents, go to their local boards of education meetings and denounce this curriculum, then so be it. I'm happy to lead that crusade. Okay? And no, by the way, folks, it doesn't make me a bigot. It doesn't make me a homophobe. It doesn't make me a transphobe. It makes me someone that cares about kids. I have a godson. I wouldn't want him learning this garbage. Okay? Being paid for by tax dollars. Okay? And for those of you out there with kids, you should be ashamed of yourself if you're supporting this. If you're in the legislature and you support this and you have children, what are you thinking? This is madness. So, David, I'm sorry, man. You're doing a huge disservice. Not just as a journalist, but, bro, you're Hispanic. This is not how you were raised. This is not what I'm assuming, your parents didn't, like, raise you with these values to subscribe to this nonsense. Let parents parent, for God's sakes. The idea about learning about gender identity or trans this or trans that. Jesus Christ, let kids be kids. Let them enjoy some aspect of innocence, which is what child is all about. But no, the woke crowd, they can't have that. No. They have to take everything because they're not going to be satisfied until they destroy society. Yes, I said it. And if that makes me sound like a boomer, oh well. You know exactly what you can go kiss. If that makes me like some antiquated, I don't know, grandpa, so be it. But folks, I care about our kids. I care about our children. And just because some in the media establishment in New Jersey don't, doesn't mean I have to stay quiet. So David Cruz, shame on you for not wanting to talk about this. I hope it continues to gain steam. I hope that parents continue to make noise on social media and go to local board of education meetings and make as much hell and raise as much hell as possible because they deserve to. It's their tax dollars, but more importantly, it's their children. They deserve to have their innocence and not be corrupted with this garbage curriculum. Let me move on now to Tom Moran. Okay. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting Tom Moran at a recent event at the New Jersey Reentry Corporation breakfast to honor journalists. And listen, I don't really care for Tom Moran's politics. Okay. I read his column because, it comes on my newsfeed. Okay. Now, again, I don't know if Tom Moran's married. I don't know if he has children, whatever. But as I'm looking here at the Muckraker, and folks, this is a muckrack.com. This is a great resource when you want to find out what journalists are writing about and what they are writing about, what they're not writing about. It's a great resource. And as I'm reading here, obviously talking about the economy, talk about Nazis in Ukraine, talk about Will Smith. I mean, the fact that you wasted a column on Will Smith, Tom, what's wrong with you? Talking about, I don't know, the boycott of Russian oil, or I don't know, talking about equating Trump with Putin again. Tom, you should know better here. Okay. This is stuff that needs to be said. You should be asking questions. Why was this rammed through? Why wasn't there any opposition? Why wasn't there any discussion about this? Okay. Let kids be kids. But for whatever reason, Tom, you don't want to do that. Okay. You want to write about, I don't know, Trump and Putin. Folks, Trump isn't president anymore. The left's fixation with the 45th president is laughable already. Why don't you fixate on the 46th president, which is the epitome of incompetence, okay, if he's awake at this hour? Or his vice president. I know the hyena never stops laughing. Have you seen a more incompetent woman in government than Kamala Harris? But yet you don't hear a peep out of Tom Moran on this, okay? You don't hear a peep about what's going on right now during these midterm elections or even about this curriculum. Tom, you write for the Star Ledger. You want to know why the Star Ledger's lost credibility? Because you're not writing about stuff like this, because your colleagues at the Star Ledger are not writing about this stuff. They deserve to. They should be doing that. They should be standing up for parents and their children. The same thing with NJ.com. What a garbage institution this is. I had to look over the weekend about, the top, burritos and tacos in New Jersey or the top pizza. Who cares? Why didn't you talk about this curriculum that, quite frankly, is handcuffing parents? Now, whether or not parents can opt their kids out of this ridiculous curriculum, again, I don't know. I haven't read the hundreds and hundreds of pages of the bill. But that's a good question to ask. And I'm sure parents are going to have that question when they go to the local school board meetings. You should be writing about that. Okay? It's my understanding you live in Montclair, in the People's Republic of Montclair. Yeah, what a coincidence. The mayor of Montclair is also the president of the NJEA. Wow, that's not a conflict of interest. Did you ever think about writing about that, Tom? And how that's egregious and blatant? Of course not. Again, that would require integrity. That pesky 4-syllable word that seems to be, I don't know, journalists around New Jersey are challenged by it. It's crazy. So again, Tom, do better. Let's move on here now. Oh, here we go. Let's move on to my favorite punching bag, folks, Insider NJ. And I'm going to say this right now because this goes out to Mike Graham, Ryan Graham, the owners of Insider NJ, and Pete Onelia, okay, the general manager. Now, Michael and Ryan, you have kids. This should be disgusting you. You should be sickened by this. And that the fact that, you know what, and I'm going to say this right now because I'm the only one that has the guts to say it. The three of you have enabled, you've been complicit in allowing someone like Maxie Pizarro to run rampant, to run boring columns, to run the most uneventful interviews you'll ever see in news. Okay, folks, I will never claim to be God's gift to journalism. I'm pretty close. Okay, but when it comes to interviews, I'm good at it. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I am great at it. And that's not cocky. That's not being braggadocious. That's not being arrogant. Folks, that's the truth. I'm a truth teller. That's what it is. I'm telling you the truth right now. Okay, and the three of you have been complicit in allowing Max to do whatever he wants. Okay, and not get on him to cover stories like this. But let's look at muckrack.com for Maxie's, as they say, little portfolio here. Let's look at, articles about Newark. And I get it, folks. It's a municipal election in Newark. I get it. City council, mayor. Okay. We have what other columns here? Let's see here. Talking about Patterson. Folks, here's a news flash. Election days come up on Tuesday, May 10th in both Newark and Patterson. Guess what? On May 11th, Newark and Patterson are going to keep being the dumps that they are. Why don't you write about that, Max? Okay? No one's going to care about it. I mean, listen, no one really cares about these races anyway. Okay? Why don't you write about that? Why don't you write about the fact that on May 11th, Patterson and Newark are going to continue to be dumps? You couldn't give a house away to me in those cesspools. Why don't you write about that? But instead, you'll cover these races. Fine, that's what you're supposed to do, right? It's not like you're breaking any news, right? Like David Wildstein with NJ Globe or Terrence McDonald with the New Jersey Monitor. Let's see what else here on this muck rack. I don't know. Really nothing of interest or consequence here. All right? You're not talking about, this curriculum and how toxic it's going to be for kids and how helpless a lot of parents feel. Oh, but Insider NJ will elevate or promote clowns like Patty Campos Medina. Yeah, Patty Cash, as I like to call her. Why? Oh, because she gives you money? Is that what it is? Is that why columns featuring her and her laughable show, Activista Rise Up, okay? Talking about, I don't know, how bad women have it in New Jersey, or talking about economics. Folks, have you ever met a Bernie supporter that knows what they're talking about concerning economics? I haven't. And she exemplifies this. But yet Insider NJ will give her, some sort of, forum. Why? Because she gives you money for advertising to advertise her garbage show, Activista Rise Up. Folks, if you ever need a cure for insomnia, it's either watching Max Pizarro and his interviews, which are boring, or watching Patty Cash, watching her god-awful, interviews, talking about how bad, illegals have it in New Jersey, or about reproductive rights. Patty, you haven't reproduced since God knows when. What do you care? Okay? This is what drives me crazy about Insider NJ. Okay? Because you're not going to focus on issues that matter. This matters. This matters. Or you have columnists in Insider NJ also talking about, I don't know, having this perpetual hard-on about January 6th and writing columns about it because, that's the most important thing. Folks, I hope that Republicans win the House come this November and they just shut down this sham of a committee, because that's what it is. It's a waste of hours and taxpayer dollars. Yes, I said it. Because if you were half as angry about BLM destroying cities, now nothing happened in New Jersey, thankfully, right? Maybe there was like one burned car in Trenton, but that's a cesspool down there too. Seeing a burned car isn't anything new down there. But if you were half as outraged as you should have been about BLM burning down cities, looting public and private properties, and demanding, oh my God, these people should be prosecuted. These people should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I take you seriously. But not once do I see an article like that. Not once do I see an editorial even uttering these words. We're going to have columnists having a meltdown about January 6th? Please, give me a break. Folks, this is why conservatives don't take it seriously. Okay? And why a lot of people, never mind conservatives, but independents, moderates, and whoever don't take Insider NJ seriously. And of course, Max, you're the editor-in-chief. Would it dawn on you maybe to, write about this and write about the fact that parents have a right to be upset about this curriculum that is deplorable? Yeah, okay. Keep writing about the West Ward in Newark that no one gives a you-know-what about, because on May 11th, it's still going to continue to be a dump. Or Patterson, arguably the most dangerous city in the state. Yes, because on May 11th, that'll just cease all of a sudden. Give me a break, Max. Do better. Do better for parents. Do better. You have a kid, don't you? At some point in time when your kid was 5, 6, or 7, would you like your kid learning about this awful curriculum? Of course not. But that you know what? Again, that takes self-awareness. Again, that takes that, oh my God, that pesky 4-syllable word, integrity. Yeah, I know you struggle with that, Max. Do better, bro. Now, speaking of from one insufferable human to another, last but not least, let's talk about Jay Lassiter, another columnist at Insider NJ, who, yes, folks, you know what? I get it. You identify as LGBT, Jay. You want to go on your soapbox about your issues and who you want to champion. That's great and all, Jay. But even if you are being intellectually honest, if you're even capable of it, that this curriculum is wrong, but not a peep. And again, let's look at muckrack.com for Jay Lassiter. What are the latest columns here? Oh, Ukraine is an LGBTQ issue. Oh, wow, what a surprise. You decided to make something about LGBTQ. Oh, you talk about weed. Yes, the perpetual and constant pot smoker, pothead, as you like to identify yourself as, talking about marijuana. Oh, yeah, great. Let me see. More about weed, more about cannabis. Yes. Can drug use make you lose your mind? Clearly, it's working with you. Oh, redistricting farce. Oh, the LGBTQ plus 1, 2, 3, whatever political roundup. Yes, more about cannabis, more about other things, folks. And again, Jay, it's funny to me that whether it's Max or it's you, Jay, that for whatever reason you're not concerned about this. Now, again, I'm not sure if you have any kids that I'm aware of, but you should be outraged for parents. And the fact that parents are objecting to this curriculum doesn't make them homophobes. It doesn't make them bigots or anything else. Because I've seen your Twitter, bro. So let's be real about this, okay? But no, not a peep about it, right? All I have to hear is these columns, or for example, the sob story you write about here. Quote: "My own bad judgment and risky behavior landed me here. And as tempting as it was to point fingers, accepting responsibility for the role I played in my own misfortunes has always served me well." Jay, I am like up to here already with your sob story. I'm tired of it. And this is the thing, though, Jay, that I'm the only one in New Jersey media that has the set, that has the spine to say this openly. Because for whatever reason, people across New Jersey are just terrified to say this. And I talk to a lot of people that have said to me, "Fernando, you're right." Now, they won't say it publicly because for whatever reason, they're scared of what you'll say or what you do. Jay, I've seen your scrawny ass in person. There's nothing to worry about, okay? So I don't know why people are so scared about even speaking about this openly. Jay, I'm tired of your sob story. Take your meds, go smoke your weed every hour on the hour, and just shut up about it. I'm tired of it, and so are many more people in New Jersey. But in the meantime, again, it's about having integrity, okay? Write about this. Write about the fact and be intellectually honest. Don't call parents, bigots or homophobes or transphobes because they're objecting to this curriculum. Okay? Doesn't make me a bigot. Doesn't make me a transphobe. Okay? It doesn't make me a homophobe. Nothing. I'm standing up for parents. Somebody has to. And it's a downright disgrace that media establishments and apparatuses like Insider NJ, NJ.com, the Star Ledger, NJ Spotlight News, NJ TV, for whatever reason, don't want to cover this. What are you so scared of? It boggles my mind. It really boggles my mind. And more so, you should be embarrassed. Because if I have to be the only journalist in New Jersey that is going to talk about this, then so be it. If I have to be that lone wolf and that, sole crusader, I don't got a problem, folks. I will stand up for you, your kids, and for parents everywhere because you deserve it. You pay way too much in property taxes to fund our schools, and then to have this curriculum shoved down your throats and you have no say about it, and now your kids are going to be inundated with this nonsense. You deserve better. And guess what, New Jerseyans? You deserve better from your media establishment here in the Garden State. But you know what? Here's an invitation. Because you know what, folks? The more I see this going on, I'm going to continue to hound all of you. I'm going to continue to bash you every which way I can until a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to get on your nerves. And believe me, I can get on people's nerves. I'm really good at it. Okay? You can only ignore me for so long. And trust me, I'm going to say something that's going to trigger you. It's going to trigger a response. And believe me, I'm good at that. So I'm going to keep taking all of you to task because you deserve it. Because you're doing a disservice to New Jerseyans. You're doing a disservice to the parents. And most importantly, you're doing a disservice to our kids. Okay? I don't have any kids that I know of, but I'm looking to be a parent. And God help me if I knew that if I had children in a school system and this was going to be put into curriculum, I would be raising hell. And so should all of you, especially you journalists that have children, young children nonetheless. You should be ashamed of yourself that you're not going out here and scrutinizing this curriculum more intensely. I'm the only one that seems to be doing it. I'm not even writing columns. I'm hosting a talk show. I'm engaging in award-winning opinion journalism. I'm doing your job for you. You should be embarrassed. You should be ashamed of yourself. But here it is, folks. Here's the invitation. I'm going to extend an invitation to any of the aforementioned. Now, again, New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist is booked every Monday from now until July. So I have no shortage of guests because obviously people want to talk to me and talk to me on this very reputable show. But if any of you have the spine and integrity, there is that pesky 4-syllable word, integrity, you want to come on this show and debate me and tell me where I'm wrong, which, by the way, you can't, because everything I just said right now is facts. This is facts, folks. It's not conjecture. It's not speculation. It's not rumor or innuendo. Everything I said was fact. Everything I said was factual. Now, this is the thing. If you have the spine, come on this show. I will set aside 30 minutes at the end of the broadcast after my guest for that week, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. I'll set aside whatever amount of time you want to come on this show and debate me about this. It's going to take guts, guys. It's going to take guts. Do you have it? Do you have the guts to come on this show and face the music? Because no one ever holds you accountable for anything. I am. And again, you want to try to cancel me, good luck with that. Good luck. I'm really looking forward to seeing the effort there. Good luck with that. But this is the thing, folks. And this is where it gets interesting. Do you have the guts? Do you have the spine? Do you have the set to come on this show and debate me and have a conversation? Because everything I'm saying about the disservice that you're all doing to journalism in New Jersey is true. Do you have the capability in you to come on this show? Of course not. Folks, this isn't a prediction. It's a spoiler. None of them will. Because again, it's that pesky 4-syllable word that they all lack: integrity. I have it. I display it every day. I got no qualms about it. I can do it every single day. I do it every single week on this show and my other talk shows and podcasts. You guys, on the other hand, I don't know. I've laid out the case. You clearly don't care about kids. And this is not an absolutist position. This is not an absolutist issue whatsoever. Okay? It's not black and white or left or right. It's commonsensical. It's being rational and logical. And that's not what this curriculum is. That's not what it's doing to our kids. And for whatever reason, you don't want to stand up for kids. That's the look that you have. That's the perception, and that's the optic that's out there. That's not me saying it. Go ahead, ask around. Plenty of people say it to your face. The only problem is that they may be hesitant. I'm not. I'm not scared of any of you guys. I'll call you out as much as I have to. And by the way, I'm going to keep calling you out until because you can only ignore me for so long, guys. You can only ignore me for so long until I get under your skin, until I say that right thing that triggers you, that's going to prompt a response. So yeah, you might say, oh, is Fernando looking for a fight? Well, yeah, I'm Cuban. I'm always looking for a fight. But you know what? This is a fight that I know I'm going to win because I'm right. And all of you are wrong. You're too blind to see it. And again, folks, if all that matters to you at this point in the stage of your career, ladies, gentlemen, hey, is just collecting a check, well, then you're really good at it. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not just collecting a check. The second thing is doing a disservice to New Jerseyans every single day with your irresponsible reporting and what you call journalism. I don't know about you. I'm happy to call you out. Invitation's there. I'm waiting. I'm waiting with open arms. But I doubt any of you will seriously take me up on the challenge. Takes guts, guys. You got the guts? Yeah, we all know you don't. That's our show for this week. Folks, again, I want to thank Somerset County Commissioner Sara Sooy for coming on the broadcast. Great interview with her. And I hope you got to enjoy a new segment here on the show, as I want to finish with that here. And I might not do it every single week, but when there's something that really burns at me and really upsets me, yeah, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call out bad journalism and bad actors. And I'm happy to do that because I'm not one of them. So, folks, again, check out Jersey First on their website, www.jerseyfirst.org, Jersey, the number 1, st.org. Also, make sure you like Jersey First on Facebook, and also make sure you follow them on both Instagram and Twitter. Check out my own Instagram at The Amazing Professor, and also hit me up on Twitter as well at NoFilterUribe. Don't forget to like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on Facebook, and also check out my own Facebook. It's that handsome guy wearing the Yankee cap and the Yankee jersey right outside Yankee Stadium. Because remember, folks, in case you forgot, it's the Yankees that run New York. So, and on that note, again, folks, have a wonderful rest of your Holy Week. Have a happy Easter, because that's what we're celebrating, folks, the resurrection of Christ this Sunday after he died for us. So have a great rest of your week, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next Monday night here live at 6 p.m. as noted author Anna North will join me here on the show at 6 p.m. Eastern time. In the meantime, you can check out tonight's replay right after the show goes off the air on Facebook and also on YouTube. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 100 Latino via the Latino Spirit Online magazine for 2020, 2021, and 2022. And also, of course, your favorite conservative, the great Fernando Uribe, folks, saying so long. Have a great, healthy, and happy Easter. And I'll see you next week here on Facebook Live, also on YouTube via Jersey First. Have a great week, everyone.